To get started today, we're going to start off with just a schedule of events. What happens, which days, when, what are those things? Why do you go to those things? Who are they for? And why are they interesting? So for some of you in the event rental industry, we have a special event on Saturday. It's all day on Saturday, and it is specific to the event rental industry. It's called Events U. If your focus is equipment rental and you don't do any event rental, it's probably not the best place for you because it is going to get really into the details of tenting and safety at events and tabletop and all of those kinds of things that really matter to the event world. It's kind of like a master class. It's all day, and it does often sell out. It is a separately ticketed event, so if you haven't signed up, I would go ahead and sign up pretty quickly. We do that every other year, so we alternate that with something called the Future of Equipment Rental. So you'll find that in Las Vegas next year. It's Events U this year. Those are specific to the segment. So that's different from our Sunday education, which I'll move to next. Sunday education is more general or broad education. So on Sunday, you're going to find some specific topics, like sometimes we'll have a panel for construction or a panel for events, but a lot of it's going to be topics like succession planning, selling your business, managing your business, employee engagement, sales, empowerment, all of those types of things. So that's good general education for everybody. It's not, most of it, unless it's listed, is not segment specific. So it doesn't matter which segment you're in, you just pick the track that you like. They have lots of great education. They usually have multiple going concurrently, which means that you have to choose. But that's okay, because if you signed up for education, they actually record almost all of them. There have been a couple that we're not allowed to record, but almost all of them are recorded. And if you miss one or attend one and hear another one was great, if you signed up for the education, you can actually listen to it later once the recordings come out. It usually takes a couple months before those are released. So that's a great way to do it. The only ones that typically aren't allowed are if they're really specific topics where the person can't share the information they're sharing. And for example, the most consistent one for that is we have a cybersecurity person that comes every couple of years, and they actually do live hacking and teach people how they get hacked. And so he actually does white hat hacking and helps catch hackers. And so he can't tell people who he is, can't show his face, and can't show some of his techniques so that people don't stop him. But other than that, almost all of it's recorded, so that's really great. So continuing on Sunday, we have the industry awards lunch. It's a great way to eat on Sunday afternoon rather than trying to leave the convention center and come back. The industry award lunch is great. It's not very expensive. It is a sign-up event. It can sell out, so I would sign up for that. And then in the evening, we have a YPN event for young professionals. So that's people under 40. Is anybody here from Canada? Put in the chat if you're here from Canada. We do have something on Sundays for Canada. Another thing that I would recommend as far as getting your badge is get your badge as soon as you get into the town. So especially if you're not going to Events U and you're coming in on Saturday, go ahead and run it over the convention center, get your badge. It's super quick. But what you don't want to do, if you don't have to do it, is show up on Monday morning or Sunday morning just before education and try and get your badge, because that's when the rushes are. There's usually no wait, no line if you go at one of the non-peak times. And they're really good at getting you through quickly if you have to go on Sunday morning or Monday morning. But if you go at another time, it's usually a lot easier and a lot better. So continue.
Hey, Josh.
Go ahead, Jeff.
Just real quick. So a lot of the stuff that Josh is covering is also available in the ARA planner, which you can download from the ARA show.org website. Gives kind of the timeline for everything so you can kind of map things out. And there'll also be the app that you'll be able to download. I think the app gets refreshed, I believe, next week. So you'll be able to kind of plan things out that way too. But that way you can kind of get ahead of the game with some of the events that Josh is talking about.
Yeah, so I just put the ARA show planner link in there. It's a direct link to the show planner. It's digital this year, but you can print it if you'd like a hard copy. It's got all of the stuff that we're going to talk about today and more. And we'll be talking about the app here in just a second as well. So Sunday's all day education. Monday is our keynote with John Taffer. The keynotes are always a lot of fun. We've also got a special release that's going to be happening on Monday morning, along with the keynote that I would not miss. That's going to be really, really great. John Taffer, if you don't know him, is from the TV show Bar Rescue. Our keynote speakers are usually really, really good. I expect this one to be great as well. Later in the day on Monday, we have regional receptions, which is a great thing for networking. So you go with just your region, like Region 3, which is Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Alabama, Mississippi, and Tennessee, I believe. Would all get together for some drinks, some cocktails. Everybody loves a couple cocktails and some snacks. We'll do some local awards there. That's really great for meeting your local people. A lot of times we'll have our local independent manufacturers rep there or sales rep. So that's another good thing to have there. And then on Sunday night, we also have ARA PAC. ARA PAC is our political action committee. And it is for the legislative stuff. And that's a separate sign up event. So I would definitely do that. It's a free thing to sign up for to join ARA PAC, but the event is a paid event. It's a fundraiser for that. And then on Tuesday, it's all day at the show floor again, women in rental breakfast in the morning, foundation auction. I know I'm going through some of this stuff pretty quickly. But again, this is all in the show planner. Foundation auction in the afternoon. All that money goes to disaster relief, to scholarships, to getting people into the industry. And then a huge event at the House of Blues. I see Nikki already signed up for everything. That's great. And then Wednesday is a shorter day. So you only have about a half day on Wednesday. You might also see a couple hundred students come in on Wednesday. We have a workforce development event. So we bring people from local trade schools and technical schools, give them a tour of the show, get them super excited about joining the industry. But I said a lot very quickly, so I want to pause there for questions. Also give Ed and Jeff an opportunity to say anything they'd like to say about their favorite events or the schedule or anything that they would like to add to this part here.
I love all the events myself. I go to every one of them, the auction, the social events, the Tuesday night. I love them all. It's a great deal.
All right, so if we have no questions, then I will, oh, we do. Nikki.
Sorry, I was typing it. Hi, my name is Nikki Begg, based in Bermuda. I have the exclusive for Sperry Tents, and I would love to learn more about how I can find. I've signed up for women in rentals, but is there a way to find out if any other Sperry tent owners are going to be there, or is it better just to go back to Sperry and I can find out from them too?
We don't have a check the box if you're a Sperry tent rental business, but I definitely would go back to Sperry themselves and ask. I'm sure they would know. I'd be super surprised if there aren't more people there, and maybe they'll have some sort of gathering in the booth. That being said, that's a good spot to mention. A lot of our vendors will have events of their own or host events of their own. So make sure if you've got a big vendor that you spend a lot of money with and spend a lot of time with, to check in with them early in the show or prior to the show to see if they're hosting anything, because those can be some really good events as well.
Thank you.
All right, so dress code. Essentially, there is no dress code. I mean, shirts, shoes, all that kind of shabazz is always important. But people are pretty casual. You'll see people there, everything from business suits, but for most people, they're in pants, jeans, slacks, button-ups, polos, company branded gear, super common. It doesn't tend to be a super fancy event. And even all of the events that we have, none of them have any special dress codes required or anything like that. So it's come as you are, and we're happy to have you there. Ed, how do you feel about shoes at the ARA show?
Wear comfortable shoes. Buy them now. If you're going to buy new shoes, buy them now. Start wearing them now. Start walking in them now. But leave those high heels at home. Leave those dress shoes at home, and get some good tennis shoes or CrossFit shoes, because you're going to be walking miles and miles each day. You need to have comfortable shoes.
And I think you normally clock 5 to 8 miles per day in an average ARA show, right, Ed?
Yeah, I'm guessing. I remember one year when I first got my iPhone, we were on the bus going to the Tuesday night event, and I realized that you could count your steps, and I looked at it, and it was like 17,000 steps for just that one day. And I'm like, whoa. So yeah, you're going to walk. So get used to it.
Yeah, definitely comfortable shoes. Make sure it's not the first time that you have worn those shoes. Even the folks in business suits, if you look down, they're probably not wearing business dress shoes. You'll also find that some vendors spring for the extra padding in the carpet. And when you hit those booths, you're going to know it because it is like heaven when you hit them. It's a ton of walking. It's a huge show floor. It's one of the 100 largest conventions in the world. So be prepared to walk, dress for walking. I actually also always bring 2 pairs of broken in shoes so I don't get blisters. So I'll wear a different shoe each day. That way, nothing gets kind of worn out because I'm like Ed, I tend up walking 5 to 10 miles a day, legitimately 5 to 10 miles a day. It's pretty amazing. It's a great workout. And it affords you to eat a couple extra calories at dinner every night, which is super nice. So let's talk about the app because the app is one of the things that is super helpful for a lot of people. I'm gonna put it in the chat. We've got the Apple link for the app, and now I'm going to put the Android link in the chat. Make sure and download the app in advance. Get signed into the app. My favorite thing to use the app for is registering all of my favorites or favorite vendors. And favorites doesn't necessarily mean that they're your true favorites. It's the ones you want to visit is really what it is, or the ones you want to make sure and stop by and see. Nobody sees who you favorited or what you put in the app. It's all specific to you, but it allows you to pull up a map of the trade show floor and have all of your favorited vendors show up on there, which allows you to get around the show floor a lot more efficiently. And one of the things that I think is important to a lot of people, and I've heard Ed say it and Jeff say it many times, is plan, plan, plan. If you're going from one end of the show floor to the other end of the show floor because you're going through your vendors alphabetically or how they happen to be in the printout of your list or how they're categorized as equipment vendors, you're going to be all over the place and it's going to be an incredible amount of walking and you're probably going to run out of energy. So make sure and utilize the app to go in there and mark all the vendors that you want to see so that you can kind of target them as you're walking through the show floor in kind of a planned pattern. And I would start probably, at least for me, I'd start on Mondays. And on Monday is when I try and hit all of the vendors that I am trying to hit. Then that usually bleeds into a significant part of Tuesday. But if you wait until Tuesday to do a lot of that, you're going to run out of time. We often ran out of time when we were there. Planning is just incredibly important because the show floor is so big. As you're planning those vendors, and another reason to try and front load all the ones that you have to visit is there's going to be a lot of things there that you probably didn't plan to see or plan to visit that are really important to visit. I know you're there to buy a lot of equipment and that's really critical and important, but there's a lot of service providers, there's a lot of software providers, there's a lot of tools. It's important to give yourself some time to walk around and walk the outskirts. It tends to be that our largest members, or our largest vendors, I guess I should say, with the biggest boosts tend to be kind of the anchors towards the middle. But some of the newer folks to the industry, some of the newer manufacturers, software providers, vendors, usually are on the edges. And so take the chance to walk around and those edges and visit those folks because that's a lot of the new stuff to the industry, so make sure and visit that as well. So walking the perimeter. Let me pause there. Any questions? And at any point, anybody can put anything in the chat as well. Ed, what's your schedule for the show floor? How do you plan out your 3 days?
My Monday is I hit all the booths that I need to do business with. I do those on Monday.
Okay.
Tuesday, if I have any second thoughts or if I explore more and just have fun on Tuesday and Wednesday, I walk the outskirts. I try to hit the whole floor and just grit it through. So I'm there all 3 days.
Very
But
good.
I would say something else with that too is I know there's a lot of focus on the show, especially the first day, to go around and hit the vendors who you need to. But as you go into Tuesday night, even the Monday night events, don't underestimate the power of that networking you can have, whether it's with fellow people in the rental industry, people at the association. It's a great place to kind of get some new connections and really build your business through some strong partnerships that way. I've seen that the last couple of years, and it's really cool to see when people are really engaged with each other for a common goal.
Absolutely. So another thing that's important to do is to follow along with rental management. They'll put out daily news briefs on everything that's happening. A lot of vendors will release new equipment, run specials, talk about new products, all kinds of cool stuff. And so to make sure to be connected to that, make sure that you're signed up for Rental Pulse. Lauren, who I know is on this call, if you would put a link in to sign up for Rental Pulse if somebody hasn't already. You can also follow along on social with the hashtag ARA Show 2024 and follow the ARA Show page on LinkedIn and on Facebook. So that's a great way to see what's going on, what people are saying, what the vibe is, what's new, what's interesting. We'll usually interview members throughout the week to tell us whatever it is that they're seeing and thinking. And so it's a good way to catch on to that. Another recommendation of mine is to bring snacks. You spend a lot of time walking the show floor. You're probably walking a lot more than usual, burning a few extra calories. Sometimes snacks are a long walk away. So having some snacks on you is a good thing to do. There is food on the convention show floor. It's your standard convention food. It'll be marked on the ARA show app, on any of the maps, and it usually is visible if you're walking around. So there is some food options on there for you for Monday and Wednesday. Another thing is to bring an extra battery pack. For those of you who have been to a few conventions before, conventions tend to run down your battery really fast. There's something about the cell phone or the Wi-Fi traffic or something really kills the battery. Plus you're pulling it out, trying to text folks, look things up, all that kind of stuff. So don't run out of battery power. We usually do have some charging stations for you, but the best practice is to carry around a nice battery pack. So I would definitely recommend that. Bring a separate bag. This may be a little less common of a suggestion, but for me, I always have a hard time remembering which bag's mine when all of the bags look exactly alike. We will give you a bag and it's great for stuffing stuff in, but I usually like to take that bag and put it in a different bag and have an Apple AirTag or something similar on that bag. Because what happens is you get into a booth, you start talking to somebody, they hand you something, you start looking at it, you set your bag down and you set it down to another bag that looks exactly like yours. And so you're either going through somebody else's bag to try and find out if that's your bag or somebody else's bag, or you're forgetting it and then having a hard time finding it later. So I like to stick my bag in another bag and have an AirTag on it so that it's easy to find. If for some reason, not that it's ever happened before, maybe a few times, you walk away from your bag and forget that you've left it there and need to track it back down. Another thing to be prepared for is if you're doing any financing at the show, if you can arrange any of that in advance, that's really the best practice. But if not, make sure to have a copy of your financials in an easy spot on your cell phone or a laptop or a USB key where you can easily get somebody a copy of your balance sheet, your P&L, some of your credit information. That'll help smooth and speed up the process of taking advantage of some of the special financing that our vendors will be offering. So have that ready if you don't already. Let's see what else. Jeff mentioned it before, but I want to emphasize it a little bit more. The rental industry is a really unique industry. It's an industry where you can compete with somebody Monday through Friday, and then you can go out to dinner and drinks with their families on the weekends. It's really unique. I've spent some time in some other industries and they tend to be really competitive. Nobody talks to anybody. Nobody shares anything. Everything's kept really close to the vest. This is not that industry. I would encourage you to walk up to people and just start asking questions. It is amazing what people will share. The rental industry is growing, it's exciting, and it's a lot of family and multi-generational businesses, and almost everybody will be completely willing to share whatever it is that you ask of them. So make sure to meet people, put yourself out there, ask questions. Don't worry about competition or things being off limit. Don't talk about price. We have to say that as an association. But other than that, definitely absolutely talk to people and put yourself out there. You're going to be amazed at how open people are, willing to talk. And I would say in many cases, the gold nuggets that I came away with from other people were worth the price of the show beyond even just buying the equipment. For example, one piece of advice that I would pass along to you that was given to me by an ARA show attendee one year was if you ever get audited, try and schedule the audit for Friday afternoon, because that auditor wants to get out of there and get on with their weekend just as much as you do. And those tend to be the fastest audits. You don't want a Monday morning audit. You want a Friday afternoon audit. And I thought that was just brilliant. So we'll pass that along. Let's see what else. Stop by the ARA show booth with that special launch that we have on Monday morning, which we can't tell you what it is yet. We will have some special swag for that in the ARA show booth to give you. There's also a booth chase that goes along with that, where you'll visit some of our booths. You'll do all that through the app, kind of like a game. And then you'll be entering yourself to win in Las Vegas, so next year's ARA show, a helicopter tour of Las Vegas. If you haven't done it before, it's super cool to see Las Vegas from the sky. And all you have to do is visit some booths you probably were going to visit anyway. So make sure and do that through the ARA show app. And then when you're in the ARA show booth, there's going to be 2 booths. There's one booth in the event section targeted at just the event folks. So we'll have some event specialists in there. That's a great place to stop by. And then we have a combined booth of event and equipment experts kind of towards the middle of the show floor. It's a little bit bigger. Make sure and stop by both if you're in the event segment. If you're in the equipment segment, stop by the big one. Make sure and stop by though and ask questions, because we're going to have our education team, our legal team, our advisory team. All of those folks will be there, and they're going to be sharing all the products and services that you probably don't know exist. I know as a member, I usually didn't know things existed until I had a problem. I happened to talk to somebody and they'd say, hey, ARA already has a solution for that for you. So it's a great place to get, the ground floor info on what's new, what certifications are out there, what training, what education, what's popular. What's been helping the folks the most lately. So that one is a kind of a critical one too. And let's see. All right, let me pause there again. Jeff, Ed, anything to add on anything?
Oh, I have one. Wear your badge everywhere you go, even out to local businesses, because some of them will offer discounts when they see that badge. So it's a good point. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah, that's a great one.
So Josh mentioned the app as well, but in the February issue of ARA magazine, there will be the show directory will be in there as well. Some people like the physical map of the building to take with them and kind of map things out that way. There will be some on site, but I would encourage you, if you can use that to kind of map it out ahead of time. So be on the lookout for that in the February issue.
Really good too. I'm trying to see if I can pull the rental management subscription link, because I think that Lauren might have already dropped off. I've got it. I'm going to put that in the link there too. So if you haven't signed up for rental management, again, it's free, but we've got a lot of great and industry focused content that comes out that week there. Other than that, it's a pretty easy show. I don't have any other groundbreaking tips or anything special. I'm trying to see if some of Ed's posts in the past have ring a bell. Another one, Ed, talk about the giveaways. You've got some good opinions on giveaways about what to get and what not to get.
Yeah, resist the temptation to take every giveaway you find. I mean, that bag will get heavy real quick, and then you got to find a way to get it back with you in your luggage. So focus on the things that you really like or are really important to you and take those. And then if for brochures, paperwork gets heavier than you think as well. Use your phone, take pictures of those brochures or the parts of it, the brochure that are important to you. That way you're not carrying paper around. It's on your phone and you're good to go.
That's a really good one. And what about if vendors aren't giving the discount that you want? Ed, you got any advice on that?
Always ask for extras. I mean, if they're not going to budge on price or terms, ask for accessories to the item you're buying or clothing that's branded by that company. Like extra teeth or blades or just anything. Ask for the good stuff. All they can do, you're never going to get it if you don't ask.
And I actually learned that the hard way too, Ed. I was in a booth and ordered some stuff and walked away. And one of the people on my team was like, hey, can we get a display for that? And then we got a brand new display that worked really well and was awesome. So it is amazing what they'll do. Another tip for local folks, and I'm not sure if we have anybody on here that's local this year, but if in a future year you're local, because the show does move around to some major areas, you can buy some of the equipment that's on the show floor. So there's a little bit of a logistical stuff that you have to go through to get it off the show floor on Wednesday afternoon. But if you're local and you can put it in your truck or put it on a trailer and take it back to your shop because you drove in, you can buy stuff in a lot of cases at a good price from the show floor. That way the vendor doesn't have to ship it back to their home base. And then I see that Jeff or somebody put a link to hotels to answer the question of remind me the hotel that is closest and best. So the hotels sell out fast. My guess would be that the closest hotel is probably already sold out. And then closest and best is really kind of a variable thing. It depends on what's best to you. So I would use that link. There's a lot of good hotels. If you go to one of the hotels that is on our list and has a bus by it, in that section, that means that we'll bus you to the convention center. So you're not driving back and forth to the convention center. So that is definitely something that I would look at. Closeness usually means more expensive. So I don't know that I would personally be as concerned about being the closest hotel, but I definitely would want to be in a hotel that is a bus ride to and from the show floor. It's really nice. The hotels that you get through us are also price matched. If you find it somewhere else cheaper, let us know. We can usually match that for you. They're supposed to and usually do have the lowest prices that you can get. But if you see anything else different from that, please let us know. Booking through that does help us. It doesn't necessarily help us financially, but it helps us when we go to convention centers to say, look how many people we fill in hotels. And we can prove that because you guys booked it through us. And that helps us get better locations, better space, better pricing. So whenever you can, use On Peak or the hotel page there that Jeff put in there. Any other questions? Good questions. All right. Well, if we don't have any other questions, I think we can probably wrap it up from there. We will have recorded this, so you'll get a copy of that if you need to share it with anybody or review anything yourself. We are around for questions. I'm going to put my email in the chat here. Feel free to reach out with any additional questions that you have. If you have questions while you're out on the show floor, find anybody we're all going to be in purple shirts. In purple shirts and purple shoes will be hard to miss, New Orleans style, or go to any of our booths and we'll help you find a place, answer a question, give you tips on the best food, whatever it is that you feel like you need or need to know, we'll be there to help answer those questions. But other than that, thank you all so much for joining us today. Ed, Jeff, and I all appreciate it. We're looking forward to seeing you all in 3D.